Oh, I start. So that's why I keep on looking at you. All right, good morning. Welcome to the November 19th Planning Commission. Sarah, please confirm that staff are ready to begin, and please explain the rules and procedures for this hybrid meeting.
1 second. The audio off. But I can still hear it. All right, thank you. I'll describe the testimony procedures for our hybrid meeting today. For those of you joining us online, please know, thank you, that there are 2 categories of people participating in the meeting: attendees and panelists. Right now, the only panelists are commission members and city staff. If you are an applicant or a member of the public who would like to testify regarding a case, please use the raise hand function when the case is announced to let staff know you would like to speak. There is a ribbon at the bottom of your Zoom screen with a hand icon. Please click this to raise your hand to request to speak on a case. You will need to accept the promotion to panelist in order to speak. It may appear temporarily as if you have been disconnected, but don't panic. You will reconnect shortly. If you are calling in on a phone line, your screen name appears as your phone number. You can raise your hand to speak when the case is called by pressing star followed by the number 9. When you are promoted to panelist, the chair would like for you to turn on your camera so that the commission can see you when it is your time to speak. Your microphone needs to always be on mute unless you are giving testimony at the appropriate time. When you are called upon, you will be able to share your screen to display exhibits. The chat box is only for questions about the agenda. The merits of each case should not be discussed in the chat box. For those joining us today in person, applicants may be seated at the center desk when the case is announced. Members of the public who would like to speak may approach the microphone on the podium located to the left of the seating area when the chair calls for public testimony. If you are here in person, there is no need for you to be on the Zoom meeting as well. Joining the meeting in both manners causes a lot of unnecessary feedback and audio disruptions. Please keep all of your electronic devices on silent and be quiet when entering and exiting the hearing room. The Commission has established time limits for all testimony during the meeting. You will be given 2 minutes to testify when speaking as an individual, or 5 minutes if you represent an organization such as a neighborhood association, HOA, CID, or business association. Those are all of our procedures for today.
Thank you, Sarah. We look forward to hearing your case today. We want to make sure we address every docketed item with the attention it deserves, building consensus between the applicant, public, and city staff. Therefore, we have time limits for the cases with 20 minutes for the applicant presentation and 2 minutes for public testimony when representing a single interest or 5 minutes when representing an established organization, plus time for commission question and answer. For public testimony, those in the chamber will be called upon first, followed by those online. We'll go ahead and begin with the consent docket, which we will take separately. Sarah, can you please introduce the consent docket?
Yes, today we have 4 items on the consent docket. Item number C1 is case CD CPC 2025-159, a request to approve an MPD final plan for Phase 3 of a data center campus in District MPD on about 500 acres generally located at the northeast corner of I-435 and Highway 169. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Item C2 is case CD CPC 2025-158. A request to approve a project plan for an addition to the Veterans Community Building on about 0.68 acres, generally located at the southwest corner of East 89th Street and Troost Avenue. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Item C3 is case CD CPC 2025-166. A request to approve a project plan in District SC on about 1 acre generally located at the northeast corner of North Donnelly Avenue and Northeast 76th Street, allowing for the landscaping of private open space tracks. Staff recommends approval with conditions. And item C4 is case CLD Final Plat 2025-30. A request to approve a final plat in District MPD on about 22 acres generally located at the northwest corner of Line Creek Parkway and Northwest 97th Street, allowing for the creation of 89 residential lots and 3 tracks. Staff recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any questions regarding the consent docket items C1 through C4?
Yeah, I'll have to step back for C2. So can we separate the?
I just have a question about C1. I know that we had a case come through last week regarding data centers and updating the language around that. Is this going to be subject to those changes?
No, this would not be. Those are still pending. Staff has made the ordinance request, but it has not been introduced to council yet. So this is not subject to those text amendments.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there are no further questions, we'll open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone in this room or online that would like to speak to items C1 through C4, please do so at this time.
There are no hands raised online.
All right, we will close public testimony, and then Margaret, if we could start, or I'll look first for a motion to approve docket items C1, C3, and C4.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve docket items C1 through C4.
We're going to take C2 out so that Arkin can recuse on C2.
Okay. We'll go ahead and make a motion to approve docket items C1, C3, and C4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve docket items C1, C3, and C4. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Docket items C1, C3, and C4 are approved. And now I'll look for a motion on C2.
Making a motion to approve docket items C2.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to recommend approval of docket item C2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Any abstentions?
Nay. Oh, sorry. Yes, aye.
Great, thank you. Docket item C2 has also been approved. Sarah, could we now move on to the regular docket, beginning with any cases to be continued
Yes,
or
The-
dismissed?
the first item to be continued is actually a change from your docket. It's item number C3. I'm sorry, not item number 3. Councilmember Rea has requested that this be continued so that he can attend. So staff recommends, or sorry, case CD CPC 2025-141, a request to approve amendments to section 88-354 regarding hours of operation for dispensary facilities. Staff requests this be continued to December 3rd without fee. Next is item C, or Next is item 4.1, case CD CPC 2025-151, a request to approve an amendment to the major street plan for the purpose of updating the plan. And item 4.2, case CD CPC 2025-152, amending Chapter 88, the Zoning and Development Code by enacting a new Section 88-559 major street plan to outline the process, procedure, and establishing criteria for amending the major street plan. Staff recommends that these items be continued without fee to December 17th. Item number 5 is case CD ROW 2025-36, a request to approve the vacation of a portion of public right-of-way of about 35,000 square feet generally located on North Olive Street between Rochester Avenue and Nicholson Avenue. Staff recommends continuance without fee to December 3rd. Item number 6 is case CD SUP 2025-22, a request to approve a special use permit for outdoor warehousing storage for commercial vehicles, equipment parking, and material storage in districts M1-5 and M3-5 on about 4.17 acres, generally located at the terminus of East 78th Street, west of the Union Pacific Railroad, specifically located at 3901 East 78th Street. Another change, staff requests continuance without fee to December 17th instead of December 3rd. The next two items, number 7 and number 8, first CD CPC 2025-147, a request to approve a preliminary plat in districts B3-3 and R2.5, creating a mixed-use multi-tenant building on about 0.5 acres generally located on the west side of North Winter Avenue between Northwest 87th Street on the north and Northwest 86th Place on the south. And number 8, case CD CPC 2025-148, a request to approve a preliminary plat in districts B3-3 and R2.5 of multiple mixed-use multi-tenant buildings on about 6.5 acres, generally located on the north side of Northwest Prairie View Road and Northwest 87th Terrace between North Winter Avenue on the east and North Dixon Avenue on the west. Staff requests these items be dismissed. The preliminary plats were approved by the Development Review Committee and did not need to come to you, but they were advertised. And so we request that you dismiss those cases.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from the commission on the continuance of items 3 through 8? Seeing none, we will open it up for public testimony. If there's anyone from the public who would like to comment on the continuance of items 3, 4.1, 4.2, 5, 6, 7, or 8, please do so at this time by either raising your hand or coming up to the podium.
There are no hands raised online.
We will close all public testimony and I'll take a motion.
Motion to continue docket item number 3 and number 5 to December 3rd, and to continue docket items 4.1, 4.2, and 6 to December 17th, all without fee, and the dismissal of docket items 7 and 8.
Second.
And just to confirm on 3 and 5, no fee as well, just so it's in the record. All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue docket items 3 through 8, or continued or dismissed 3 through 8, as just stated. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, those items have been continued. We are now ready for docket item number 1.
Docket item number 1 is case CD CPC 2025-83, a request to approve a development plan for utilities and services in District AGR on about 72 acres generally located at 7801 Northwest 144th Street.
Good morning, Commissioners. Genevieve Kahn-Smith, City Planning and Development. And we have docket item 1 in just a moment. Docket item number 1 is for the is a development plan for the Todd Creek wastewater treatment plant at 7801 Northwest 144th Street, and also along Northwest Interurban Road. Site is located in the very northernmost portion of the city, east of 169 Highway. Here's the site outlined in yellow. It is currently 2 parcels that will be combined, and you can see there is an existing access road off-site of the property that will be used to access this site, which you'll see in the site plan. And then just going over that this is an AG-R agricultural residential district, which requires a development plan for utilities and services, which is the use for the wastewater treatment plant. So here we have the site plan, which is a combination of proposed buildings that will be constructed right away, and then also some future expansions. So the total building area will be about 71,000 square feet. There'll be a handful of basins, which you can see in the center of the site here. And then also a variety of administrative and operational buildings. And the site will be accessed from the west on Interurban Road due to topographical constraints and sensitive environmental areas that restrict the access from the north off of 144th Street. And then there was a tree removal plan submitted with this proposal. As you can see, most of the development will take place in the area that does not contain mature riparian vegetation. And then I have some of the elevations of the buildings. Really, none of this will be visible from public right-of-way. It's very tucked back off of the road and will be set back off the interior property lines. So these are just a variety of the admin buildings and other operational buildings. And then just some street views of the site. So this is the north side of the site. Again, nothing really will be visible from 144th Street. And then this is looking off of Interurban Road, where the access will be, and there will be cross-access easement agreements with Hunt Midwest, who owns that property that will be traversed to access this site. And with that, staff is recommending approval with conditions of the development plan, and I can take any questions.
Thanks. Any questions for staff? If there are none, we will welcome the applicant. Welcome.
Sorry, it's the first time doing this. I'm not really sure what to expect. Give me a presentation. Just introduce myself.
Introduce yourself and
Okay.
anything you'd like to add.
Sean Cross, Senior Project Manager, Water Services. I'd just like to add that we're reaching capacity at our existing treatment plant up there in the Northland, and the condition of the existing plant is very poor. So that's the reason we're trying to move forward with this, and also to help support growth in the Northland.
Yeah, helpful for me. Can you kind of give us kind of an overview of this project and where it's located, how similar this is to the existing plant, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. So the existing plant was built in the 1960s and then upgraded again in the 1990s. Back in 2020, we started a facility plan to review the condition, the growth in the area, and just what we wanted to do with this existing facility. What we ended up finding out was in 2017, FEMA revised their base flood elevation by like 6 feet, which puts the existing plant mostly underwater. We reviewed a few different options, one on site and then 3 greenfield sites, and eventually landed on the new greenfield site being the most cost effective. So in her presentation, the new plant is going to be south of 144th Street and east of Interurban Road. The treatment technology is different. It's a newer technology. As far as I know, we're going to be the first in the state of Missouri to implement this, and we're working through MDNR to do that. Kansas already has a plant like that very close to us that we've toured. And so we restarted the design earlier this year, and we're approaching 100% design on that. We purchased the property from Hunt Midwest, and that's kind of the basic overview. I'm happy to
Yeah.
answer anything more specific you might have.
To follow up kind of in the general realm. One, can you talk to us a little bit about site selection, just because we, of course, haven't seen a project like this either. And then what the operation looks like in terms of the number of people there, any noise, any smells, et cetera.
I'll address noise and smell first. We're very conscious of the community around us. So we are implementing various odor control technologies, one of which, the main process is aerated. So you're not going to smell that just based on how the biology works. Our sludge holding cells are going to be either covered, or the ones that are open, we're going to be using a technology called Vapex. And then we also use bio-trickling filters for some of the buildings that could be a little more stinky. And we implement this technology at one of our larger plants near 435 Front Street. As to the number of people that we're going to have there on site, we got Blake Anderson online. He could probably speak to that a little bit better. I do know that at some point we're going to be moving towards 2 shifts, 8 hours each, so a first and second shift. And then in terms of light and noise, we're using a dark sky technology that's just going to keep the light contained to the site, so it's not bothering any neighbors nearby. And any loud equipment like blowers are going to be contained in buildings and sound enclosures.
Thanks. And can you also speak to site selection, why this is a good site?
Yeah. This one was actually recommended by the community up there. So we did have a site selection that was north of 144th Street that was not amenable to Platte County and Council. So after doing further investigations, we ended up looking at the site that the community recommended and worked with Hunt Midwest on that. It's a really great site because it's tucked away. It's surrounded by a lot of trees, and gives us enough space to expand in the future as need be. So Genevieve was explaining that, we got future basins that we're potentially going to be putting in, and that's going to be, as the Northland starts to grow, we can look at various parameters and trigger another project to put in the new basins.
Got it. Thank you.
You want to go first?
Yeah,
or- go ahead.
So you mentioned that you went to a facility in Kansas to do a tour to figure out about the technology.
Yeah.
Can you go into further detail about that and what the technology actually is?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll hand it over to Brian.
Yep, Bryce Dickmeyer, Burns and McDonnell. We're the engineer of record on this. So the treatment technology is activated granular sludge, and what it is, it's a common type of treatment process using biology to break down the wastewater, the waste in the wastewater, and the newer part of it is that the wastewater is broken down. The waste is broken down through in granules in the wastewater. So it's aerated and granular, where that is kind of the new twist on the technology. A lot of times the treatment basins are just aerated and they're not granular. So it is different, but it is not wholly unique and unproven. There are this technology originated in Europe, and there are a number of installations there. It was brought over to the U.S. Maybe about a decade ago, and there have been probably 15 to 20 installations now, maybe slightly less, but there are continuing to be some built or number built, and the number is growing. KCK, Wyandotte County recently built a smaller plant that is pretty much is the same technology, and they have had I guess a measure of success with it. So they haven't had very many problems, or we haven't heard anything negative of that. So we have a proven technology right in the backyard, and for Missouri, this will be, as Sean mentioned, this will be the first of the kind in Missouri. But that's really only the fact that a new treatment plant hasn't been built yet in Missouri directly. So we are working with MDNR to approve to get their approval on the technology and expect that to happen soon.
Thank you. And you said Wyandotte was the facility you guys toured?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Couple questions. Let's start infrastructure. Is there going to be any additional infrastructure done leading up to this plant that's going to be needed in order to make it work, right? To get everything there? What is the impact getting there?
Yeah. So it will need power from Evergy. So Evergy will be providing dual power feeds to the facility, one from the Farrellview substation and one from west. So they will run along. They are currently in their design of that power routing. And the preliminary plan is to run above grade on poles in the right of way for both paths. So that is the power. We will have the other one is potable water to the site. There is a potable water main off of Winnan Road, which is a mile west of interurban. So the plan is to run a potable water line that will be large enough to serve not just the facility, but the neighboring community from Winnan over to interurban and then along the access road between interurban and the site. So it'll all run either in Hunt Midwest property currently that's west of interurban and then the right of way along interurban. And those are the only utilities that we need. There's no other wastewater. Oh, fiber. Gonna get fiber from
Yeah, I'm
local.
less worried about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question. You mentioned that the Front Street facility, which is the water treatment right off the highway there, right, had been upgraded to the sludge system? Or
Sorry, are you referring to our biosolids project that we got going on?
I'm
down
talking
across
about
the
the one just in NKC, or like over off of right below the park.
Oh, I don't think that's wastewater.
That's it.
Oh,
That's water service.
water supply.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That has no, okay. Sounds good. Never mind. So between your existing facility and this one, there's going to be a load divide. The existing facility is going to still be used, or is it going to eventually be abandoned?
The the plan is going to be to abandon that facility. We don't currently know what we're going to be doing with that land right now. There are some sludge holding cells as well. They're going to be decommissioned, and we're going to be working with the state
Yeah,
on
but
that as
what
well.
is the process? Is it a fill and bury, or is it a deconstruct and mitigate?
You want to talk about that?
Part of this plan is to demolish the entire facility after the new facility is up and running and then mitigate and return to natural vegetation up there.
Okay, that's all my questions. Oh, I was going to ask Forrestine's question. When is this going to be done?
The current plan is out to bid in early 2026, award in 2026, begin construction second quarter, third quarter of 2026, and completion of construction and decommission of the old site by end of 2029.
Wow.
It's a big project and a long timeline.
So I'm taking that phases, so you'll be able to start some processing before 2029?
There will be a tie over period, so it's probably more like was it end of 2028, beginning of 2029, where we will be tying into the Todd Creek interceptor that's feeding the existing plant, and then everything will start getting transferred over to the new one. At that point, flow won't be going to the old facility anymore, and then we can start our decommissioning activities there.
So I do have one additional question. The road, the access road that's currently there, does it need improvement?
You referring to Interurban Road?
The only road into the site. I don't know what the name was. But yeah.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah, 144, Northwest 144.
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Northwest 144th Street will not be touched or accessed. The access road coming off of Interurban is a private access drive that is currently gravel, and it is used by Martin Marietta, which is owned by, or which is leasing it from Hunt Midwest, that land. That gravel drive will remain a gravel drive off of Interurban, and then the site proper that the city owns will be asphalted once we get to the property line east of the Hunt Midwest Martin Marietta property.
So the road that I was looking at is the property road. So that's going to be upgraded to asphalt because it looked like it was dirt in the picture.
No, so that's going to be a private drive. We're currently, Hunt Midwest owns that property and we're working out a permanent easement with them that allows the city to access that. It won't be open to the general public.
I'm not trying to get it open to the general public. I'm trying to find out if that road is going to be improved because of the development that you're putting on there. Does that road need to be improved with the consent is what I'm hearing of Hunt Midwest? Because I haven't heard you say anything about that road that gets you to the property from the main street.
We're only going to be keeping it gravel. So the current operation for that is heavy earth moving equipment because of the stamper mine just to the west of Interurban Road. Trying to turn that into asphalt would tear the road up very quick with the equipment they're running back and forth over that.
Make sure that was addressed. Thank you.
I did have one last question. Were there any plans for renewable energy or sustainability features with the new plant? As you guys had mentioned, you're connecting to Evergy, so I just want to see if you guys are putting in solar or any other.
No, this facility, we're just doing all electric. There won't be any gas firing equipment.
So no renewable energies will be
No.
used. Okay, thank you.
There are no further questions from the commission. We will open it up for public testimony.
There are no hands raised online.
Great. And if there's no one here wishing to speak on this, we will go ahead and close public testimony. Back to the applicant. Anything else you two would like to add?
Nothing from me.
Great. Thanks. All right. With that, we'll close all testimony and move to discussion and/or take a motion.
I have one more question. I don't understand or know much about the system, but you had said stuff turns to granular. So does it stay in that pit or do you sometimes empty that out? The granular stuff you talked about from the sludge?
No, it's recycled throughout the process. It does not require hauling in and out of the granulars. They stay in the basin.
Okay, thank you.
There are no further questions. I'll go ahead and make a motion. So motion to approve docket item number 1 with conditions stated.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 1 with conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? Docket item number 1 is approved. Thank you. And we're now ready for docket item number 2.
Docket item number 2 is case CD CPC 2025-135, a request to approve a development plan serving in place of a special use permit to allow a religious assembly development in District R10 on about 43 acres, generally located at 9600 Northeast Ranking Road.
Good morning.
Morning.
Are those for us?
Of course they are.
Are you going to replace those trees?
Of course.
As stated, we have docket item number 2 for a development plan for the 96th Street or Journey Church at 9600 Northeast Ranking Road. Site is generally located in the northeastern portion of the city, west of Liberty. And then here's the subject site highlighted in yellow at the at the corner of Shoal Creek Parkway and Ranking Road. And I'll note that this site is zoned R10. That is why you have a development plan in front of you. Religious assembly uses require a special use permit in our districts. However, the applicant chose to file a development plan in place of that special use permit. The site plan before you proposes just under 23,000 square foot church with 222 parking spaces, all on the existing lot, with one proposed access from Shoal Creek Parkway to the south, staying out of all of the stream buffer area to the east, adjacent to Ranking Road. And then just highlighting the site a little bit up close. It is a large property with a small, relatively small development. And then I just wanted to highlight the location of some of this parking. I'll touch on that in a future slide. Some renderings that were provided by the applicant. The main entrance of the building will be on the east side. And then some building elevations here, matching that rendering. Using materials like metal panel and wood. And then some street views of the site. So this is on the southern portion of the site, Shoal Creek Parkway. The subject site is on your left, so you can see there's some already natural berming there. And with the building set so far back, it really won't be visible from Shoal Creek Parkway. And then this is the intersection of Shoal Creek Parkway and Ranking Road. And again, most of the eastern portion of the site will remain undeveloped. And then looking south on Ranking Road here, again, here's the site. This vegetation will not be disturbed. And then looking at the outstanding corrections that are in the staff report related to this plan, there were 4 from development management from myself, 2 related to landscaping, number 1, and number 3, which I discussed with a member of the applicant team and were clear on how the plans will be revised to address those. Correction number 2 is related to that parking area that I highlighted. So there are use standards for public and civic uses, which church falls under, stating that parking shall only be located in side or rear yards. So the parking, there's about 15 or so spaces located in front of the building, which is not permitted under 88-365-05. So there's a correction to remove or relocate those spaces. And then number 4 is really just cleanup work on the table that was provided, the development summary table. And then correction number 6 is from Water Services to extend the water main along the property frontage. So just jumping back to the site plan really quickly. The water main is north of this site in Ranking Road, and so the applicant is proposing to extend the water main to the northeast corner of the site and then carry it across to serve the building. And I can let the Water Services staff speak more detailed about the requirement, but I believe they are asking for the applicant to extend the water main the entire frontage of the site. So those are some of the outstanding corrections. There is a condition in the report that says all these corrections must be resolved prior to any ordinance request. And with that, staff is recommending approval subject to all the conditions and the conditions that the plan be revised prior to going to City Council. And I can take any questions.
Thank you. And to be clear, so on plan corrections 1 and 3, are you saying that those have been resolved in a different way and can be removed?
They have not been resolved yet, but I spoke to the engineer on the plan, and he seemed clear on how he was going to revise the plan. So those will be submitted and then re-reviewed by staff before the ordinance is prepared.
Got it. All right, any questions for city staff?
Genevieve, can you repeat for me again the portion of the parking that you said needed to be? You said something about 15 spaces in front?
Yes, so the use standards for public and civic uses states that all parking must be in the side or rear of the building. And these spaces that I've highlighted are in, it's a little bit confusing because the building is facing east, but the front property line is generally considered the shortest street abutting property line. In this case, that would be Shoal Creek Parkway to the south here. And so these parking spaces are in what is considered the front yard, which I know is confusing with the building orientation, but that is what the code says. So really, it's just a very small amount of spaces that need to be changed.
But the entry into the building is facing the large portion of the parking lot?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
There are no further questions. We will welcome the applicant.
Thank you. And while Genevieve is pulling up my PowerPoint, my name is Patricia Jensen with the Russ Fritz Law Firm with offices located at 4510 Bellevue, although we're moving, so we will be closer to the plaza, and I'm going to have to memorize that address soon. To my right is Pastor Sean Phillips, who is the pastor of Journey Church. Paul Osborne is our engineer, and he will speak towards the water and sewer line if questions come up. And Michael Heitzman, who you've seen before as an architect, he happens to be a member of the church. So we are really looking forward. I know the church is really looking forward to being able to get going and building its own worship center in Kansas City, Missouri. Right now it worships in Liberty in some rented spaces. So as Genevieve has identified, this is a request to approve a development plan for the 43-acre tract of ground that's located at the northwest corner of Northeast Ryan King and East 96 or Shoal Creek Parkway to allow the worship center. It's currently zoned R10. And really, everything is good about working with Genevieve on a number of issues. We have no issues with that. There are three main issues that I'm going to discuss as we get into the presentation. So just a little bit about Journey Church. It was founded in 2006 by Pastor Sean Phillips, and he continues to serve as the lead pastor. On a typical weekend, we have 3 worship services, 1 on Saturday morning or Saturday evening, and 2 on Sunday morning. They also have a good youth ministry group that meets every Wednesday night. But those are all meetings that are occurring in off-peak hours as you typically look at for traffic analysis. I also wanted you to highlight that the church has a very vibrant ministry in terms of providing support to the community in a number of different ways, and those are shown on the PowerPoint slide. And then as Genevieve highlighted, this is the plan that's in front of you. And now I'm going to go into the 3 issues. The 3 issues really deal with a platting requirement, a road improvement requirement, and the water sewer requirement, or the water main, transmission main that water department wants the church to build for it. So the platting requirement is Journey Church is not subdividing the property. Platting is normally required when you're subdividing property, you're creating lots. We are not creating lots. We're putting one worship center on this overall existing tract. The only reason that the staff has put in a requirement for platting is because that means they then trigger road improvements and water improvements. And that's why we are asking that on correction number 4, that you eliminate the word with the plat in that correction, and then delete condition number 8, which says platting is required.
Sorry to interrupt. Am I on the right condition or correction?
Number 5, sorry, did it change on me?
No, you just had number 4.
Oh,
You meant
it's,
Well,
no, 5, correction
5.
5 is eliminating
Water.
5. 4, you must have changed it. Anyway, it may not be, but number 5 needs to be deleted. And we'll go into that in a minute. It's condition number 4 in the conditions, because it says that prior to the certificate of occupancy for each lot within the plat, I'm asking you to delete the phrase "with the plat" because we do not
Okay.
plan on. So it should have been a condition, not a correction.
I'm following. Okay.
Just for clarity, just to make sure I'm following here
Uh,
too. You're proposing an amendment to condition number 4 and the elimination of correction 5.
Well, yeah, and that will come with the water discussion.
Okay.
This is all related.
I'm just
to the
making sure
plat.
we have the numbers correct.
Correct.
now.
What?
About the street trees?
No.
Condition number 4?
This for each lot within the plat. I don't want the plat reference because we disagree with.
I don't think that's relevant to this
Well-
case. It's a standard condition language saying you
Well,
put in
that-
all your street trees, would check off the condition. I don't think that's
Well,
applicable.
so
here.
you can eliminate with the plat because we're disagreeing about platting.
Okay.
That's the issue. So condition number 8 says that we gain the approval and record a final plat. And that's where we should not be required to submit a plat because we're not subdividing this property. The next slide. Then the next slide deals with the improvement to North Ranking Road, which is condition number 21 in your staff report. It's the standard condition that says that the west half of Northeast Ranking Road shall be improved as required by Chapter 88. I agree, there's a general belief that anytime you're touching or you're adjacent to a road, you have to improve it. But there's another analysis that needs to go beyond that. And that is whether or not that improvement that you're requiring is reasonably related to the impacts that are generated by the church. We have no access onto Northeast Ranking Road. That improvement alone, and you've got to consider, this is a church trying to raise funds to build its sanctuary. That improvement and that cost is about $11 million. That improvement alone is $750,000. So we do not believe that that requirement is justified by the layout of this development plan. Should the church in the future decide that they're going to further develop the property, that may be a very justifiable condition. But right now, our only access is onto Shoal Creek Parkway. So we've asked you to delete condition 21. Water access. I'm going to have Paul Osborne explain where the water is, but we are not proposing to obtain water from Shoal Creek Parkway, where the water department wants us to put in their transmission main. And our proposed water is from the north. So Paul, do you want to explain that and explain the cost difference of each?
Sure. This is an odd corner in the city where there are very few utilities. Even the gas is not nearby, and they're going to end up having to pay to extend the gas. But as far as the water is concerned, the nearest water on Shoal Creek is at Line Creek Parkway, which is about 3,000 feet east of this property. And then the nearest water on Rankin is about 700 feet north of the north property line. So currently, we're proposing to extend the 12-inch line on Rankin, the 700 feet necessary to get it to the property, and then extend a service line across the creek and over to the church. The city's requirement, standard requirement would be that it gets extended all the way down Rankin, another 1,400 feet to Shoal Creek, and then that from there, we upsize it to a 30-inch transmission main, another 1,500 feet over to the west property line. So the costs for those are pretty substantial. I'm assuming ductile iron pipe, mechanically restrained, it's probably $360,000 to extend it down Rankin Road, and then another $720,000 to extend the 30-inch line, which the church would probably get reimbursed for about half that for the upsize. They only would have to pay for the 12. So all in all, that's another $760,000 for the water line extension. And it would all just be dead water too. There's no connections to that for the foreseeable future.
I've got a question. Is this similar to the one we saw a couple weeks ago where same thing, developing new areas and extending? Okay.
Exactly.
Some similarity.
So we would request that you delete condition number 25.
How did we,
I think the
Uh,
city will reimburse a portion of the expenses.
oh, yeah, so we were, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yep. We can talk about it afterwards.
Otherwise, here are the elevations which have been shown to you. And the request is to approve the development plan subject to the corrections and conditions with the deletion of the phrase within the plat on correction number 4 and deletion of conditions 8, 21, and 25. And with that, we are available for any questions.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah. I'll start it off. Mine is more future thinking. So I saw in the plan that this site is 42.88 acres. How much of that acreage does this sanctuary project take up? And do you have any plans for future development?
Commissioner Beasley, there may be future plans at some point in time, but right now the focus of the church is to build its worship sanctuary.
And I understand
I
that.
don't
Thank
know
you.
how much it is on there, and that's why I acknowledge some of these conditions could apply to future development, but it doesn't apply to what's in front of you. It's very unreasonable to sit there and say you're building an $11 million sanctuary and we're going to lump another, besides the other costs that we have, we're going to lump almost another $2 million on top of you. So,
As you know, that's not my intention, and I am one that looks at the future of how something will be developed and how it ties into the current plan that is before us. That's why I asked the question. This project does not appear to take up that much of the 42 acres, so that's where my question came from.
and we will have to come back to you with any future approvals. It could require rezoning to a certain extent if it's not related to the sanctuary and the church use. So, I mean, yes, there is a lot of property out there, but they want to build their sanctuary first.
Any other questions for you?
For me?
I-
Not right now. Thank you.
Was there any written or verbal feedback from the adjacent property owners about this project?
We had a public engagement meeting. I think we engaged in a discussion with Star Development that owns some property around here. They're a big developer in the Northland. But we've had no objections to anything.
Thank you.
One thing that wasn't addressed in the applicant presentation, are you all okay with the parking correction or, okay, so that.
We will make that work.
Got it. Okay, and then do we have Terry Thomas on to talk about condition number 21?
We do. We have Terry. We also have Travis Kiefer from Water. Would you like to start with?
Let's start with Terry. Do water first.
That would be Public Works first.
Oh, yeah,
But
sorry.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairman. It's Terry Thomas of Public Works. So that condition is tied to, so if there's a requirement to extend the water line, then that typically triggers the requirement for plating. And then the requirement for plating triggers the requirement for half-street improvements. Now, the property has frontage along Northeast Rankin Road. And so that's what that requirement is related to. As I mentioned before in a previous meeting with the applicant, if the plating associated with the water main extension can be resolved, then my condition goes away. Otherwise, my hands are kind of tied on this. So,
Wait, can you repeat that?
excuse me?
Yeah, can you repeat that? What would make the condition go away?
Well, plating is what triggers the requirement for a preliminary and final plat is what triggers the half street improvements for Rankin Road because it's not on the major street plan. And that's the message I give everybody who has that circumstance.
Okay, and then I presume that when we're requiring road improvements, it's very much contextual to what's needed. I mean, looking at it, it does seem like a road that would require improvements as there's more traffic on it. Can you just confirm that what's currently being requested by the city is the appropriate improvement and not something that's overbuilt?
Yeah, I think in this particular case, that requirement would be ensuring that the street meets the appropriate width for that street classification, curb and gutter, sidewalk, any storm sewer that's required to support those facilities. And I'll just also say I don't evaluate the practicality of providing those improvements. There's a process for that, but those are essentially the requirements that are needed. If there's any request for a waiver, that can be made through the Transportation Development Committee, but that's another process that can be pursued.
Yeah, if I can add something, and I'm sure when Travis speaks, he'll give the order of operations better than I can. But I think what Terry is trying to say here is the need for the water main extension is triggering the need for the plat, which then is triggering the requirements for the half-street improvements. Now, it is possible on a preliminary plat, which is technically included in this set, there is a sheet called preliminary plat, to seek a waiver from half-street improvements or part of those improvements. That request for a waiver from the city council has not been brought up to me. So that is an alternative path. But I think the question here is, are we platting or are we not platting? And are we seeking waivers? We need a preliminary plat that states all of the waivers being sought. And I think Travis can probably add on to the water part of that.
And this might be moot based upon that, but in terms of the level of improvements, the calculations that you all did, was that based upon
What
widening the
Terry
road,
just
or it
stated.
includes it includes sidewalks as well then?
Yeah, it
Okay.
included everything Terry just stated. And you gotta know Rhine King Road, as you go to the north, is not improved. There's been significant development along there where that was not required.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I'm simplifying it, but it sounds like if we take the request out, then it gets rid of it all, right? The request for plat? Or
Well,
like,
that's where Travis comes in to talk about the water main
okay,
extension.
all right.
And Commissioner Arkin, just to be clear, water's gonna tell you, since we are extending the 12-inch main to the north to get to our property, so that is a 12-inch main
Yep.
along Rhine King,
Mhm.
that's triggering the need for a plat. I believe that can be done outside of needing to plat the property.
Let's hear how he states it and we can walk through that.
Okay, Terry, if you'll hang on, we might be coming back to you, but Travis, if you could help us understand what the city's looking for, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, the staff comments are written in accordance with the water main extension rules and regulations, which state that water mains, including transmission mains, shall be designed to extend to the boundary lines and corners of each development or subdivision of land. So that's how the staff comments were written, and that's the way they're presented to you today. The extension of the water main to get it to the site would already trigger the platting requirement, but then the applicant is requesting relief from any further extension that would meet the requirements of the rules and regulations by extending it down the length of Rhine King Road and across Shoal Creek Parkway. Now, one thing that we do have in place is a cost share on transmission mains, so that the development is responsible for up to a 12-inch main. In this case, they would design the system for the 30-inch main, but would be responsible for the cost of installation up to the 12-inch main. And then as money's available through Casey Water, the Casey Water would pay the difference up to that 30-inch transmission main. But that is in accordance with the water main extension rules and regulations as we sit here today.
All right, thank you. Genevieve, could you, I've done a poor job of following along, both when you explained it and when staff explained it, and now when it was explained a third time. Could you help me understand what city is asking for, and then what the applicant is asking for?
Like everything?
All-
Which
yes.
specifically, so I can break it all down.
Specifically, as it pertains to within the property. So is the applicant proposing to pay for everything within the property as it extends from the edge of the property to the site?
They are, everything that's on the plan is what they are responsible for paying for. Based on the water rules and regulations, they are required to extend the main all the way down. I know that's where it gets a little bit complicated since it's a transmission main. They would be responsible for the cost of 12-inch main. And then like Travis said, as you know, someone needs to make up the rest. That would be the city. If and when money is available, then
So
the rest would be built, is my understanding.
And so that transmission main is along,
Shoal Creek Parkway.
So that's the east.
It's along the south side of the property there.
But where does it make its connection point?
And so then if,
At this point, it would connect to the main extended down Rhine King Road.
and
The
then,
current terminus for the 30-inch main is located just west of Eastern Avenue, which is east of this property.
and then if the applicant wouldn't mind, in reference to this chart, explaining it relative to this chart, that would be helpful for me at least. Because I'm trying to understand the
And I'm gonna.
the way that the applicant has differentiated between the different costs and you know, perhaps this won't be an all or nothing thing, and so that's why I'm curious about each of the different
And-
pieces.
Yeah, Paul will address that. Let me hand him the mouse to move it around, but what we are proposing to do is to do the 12-inch main from the north to a certain point. We are not proposing to bring it all the way to Shoal Creek Parkway because we do not need it to service the church. So what Travis is asking is, we've got to build a transmission main all along our property adjacent to Rhine King. And in addition to that, build a 30-inch transmission main, which is really to meet the city's needs as it builds its infrastructure, not the church's needs. And then he said, which, you know, churches, it's hard to raise money for churches. And so he said, if and when the city has money, we'll reimburse you for the cost of what exceeds
So
that
I think
12-inch.
I think I'm tracking there. Like, so with
Okay.
this image,
Yeah,
what I'm not fully understanding are the lines leading from, yes, from there to the site, and then also the one that goes completely across. And I fully understand that in theory, we would like new development to pay a proportionate share of extending water lines, which in general is, you know, something that I happen to agree with. What I'm curious about is based upon the unique, you know, every project is unique, as we say in the opening, based upon the uniqueness of this project, you know, what I'm curious about is the water line not going to be extended at all because it's going to be at the northeast corner and that's it? Or what's this line coming? Because again, this is very small and hard to read.
Right.
What's the line coming directly horizontal across to the east?
Paul will explain.
Yes, so the blue line at the top is the end of the 700-foot extension to.
I don't see your
Yeah,
point.
I don't see it.
At the very northeastern.
Break line,
Oh, the break line, yeah.
the break line at the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I needed to print larger plans.
That represents the 700-foot extension we're proposing that would get the 12-inch water main just to
the
the
corner,
corner of our
right.
property. And then from there, we have a service line connected that would run across the creek and over to the church.
So what Commissioner or the chair is asking, Vice Chair is asking is the one that there's a line, a black line that shows directly crossing all the way across. What does that connect to?
That's sewer. The water is the one running from the northeast corner.
Okay, so that will not connect to anything running along that road.
The sewer line is.
That's a
connecting-
service line, Commissioner, that's on his property. What Paul explained was that he's only showing a 700-foot extension down to the corner
Yep.
of their property. He's not showing the extension all the way down Rhine King to Shoal Creek Parkway.
Okay, so I've got a question for staff then. This is being triggered because they have frontage along that road, correct?
Correct.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. That's not being developed right now, that half of the property. Why not split the property? Have that, you see what I'm saying here? Split the property because you're not developing anything on that right now. And then when you do, then it brings up bringing the line all the way down.
Yeah, so in theory, you know, if someone were to develop south of this property and then all of a sudden they're making a connection that is longer than 700 feet, so they're benefiting from previous development patterns that brought the service to within 700 feet of their site. And what we'd like to do as a city is allow the next development to also have the luxury of having, you know, water service somewhat close to the site because the previous person brought it closer. And so if there was development to the south of the site or I guess in theory also to the west of the site, then it makes it even more expensive to develop because they're having to pull it from the northeastern portion of this site down and across, none of which would abut their own property for their new development. So that is, you know, the very reasonable, I think, intention of the goal.
Well, I think there may be water to the south of our site elsewhere, so.
Sure.
Can I ask maybe a dumb question? Why is this not like the city's responsibility to create these? Because these are city built roads, are they not?
I'll let Public Works and Water respond to those questions.
Yeah, because as far as new development requiring new lines are required to pay for those lines as they go in. Otherwise, a ratepayer would be responsible for those lines. And a ratepayer
So
should
who would be
not
responsible?
for the new development. They're responsible for the maintenance of the existing system.
I guess I understand, but I guess I don't understand why the property owners would be responsible for building out that infrastructure when they weren't responsible for building the road, for example. I mean, I understand that there are requirements in the law for that, but I guess I just don't understand what the purpose of that is.
And this goes back, way back, when the city had a very aggressive annexation program to annex a lot of the property, vacant property, north of the river into the city limit line.
Yeah,
I would say, generally speaking, water operates as an enterprise. Public Works operates as part of the city's general fund. And so it's,
As a utility, yes.
right, so they're just two different kinds
Okay.
of infrastructure.
So
And
when-
that's one reason for that.
sure. So in a point in the future where that infrastructure has to be updated, replaced, whatever number of things, is that the responsibility of the property owner to make those updates or to make those replacements? Or is that on the city and taxpayer?
Are you saying after the
After the initial-
infrastructure's put in?
Yes, after it's been
Then
constructed. So
then
say we move.
Then it rolls into the maintenance program, yes.
So it would be the city's responsibility to upgrade, repair, take care of all of that.
So yeah, my understanding is I guess I just don't understand why.
Once it's built, yes.
Yeah, I guess my understanding is
That's the same with any other development.
yeah, I was just saying, I guess I just don't understand if we are having issues with paying for the infrastructure to, you know, we have to offload that onto the adjacent property owners, but they aren't required to maintain it. I don't know how we expect to maintain that in the future.
Yeah, and I think some of that may actually be in how that's phrased. When you're saying offload the cost of that, it's the responsibility of the development. It's a pay-as-you-go system. You pay it and build it as you go.
Commissioner Hasek, can I add a couple things? I acknowledge there's rules and regulations of the water department, but you got to take those rules and apply them to specific development sites and say, is that a reasonable request to lump on to this property owner? Paul also pointed out to me that Hodge Park, when the city developed Hodge Park, which is on the south side here, they did not extend the 30-inch transmission main. So the rules are okay to ignore for the city, but not to these individual property owners.
So I think Sarah had said before the meeting that we are likely going to get time in a future at a future commission meeting to discuss this type of thing so that we have a better understanding of it. I do want to move from the theoretical to this specific instance. And so, Travis, do you have a sense, are you able to say today in this moment what the potential benefit is of extending water as it's been asked based upon the neighboring sites. And so knowing that Hodge Park is likely going to be Hodge Park, knowing that the landscape supply is already there, and yes, it could be redeveloped. Do you know what water access looks like to the west and to the south?
Yes, I mean, there's been movement on development. I think the area to the east over there, there's several PRI pieces of property and then one large landowner that's right there on the eastern side of Rhine King Road. And then as you move across and cross 435, then there's been a lot of movement on development as you look at that realignment of Staley Road that was proposed by Parks several years ago over there.
And so, is there, on another project, you talked about the importance of water being able to move and that, you have a connected grid, so to speak, and you don't have lines that are dead ends. Is that part of the consideration, or is this really primarily your, task is to uphold the requirements as they're written?
Yeah, say that again. I'm not.
Yeah, I know that, okay, so one of the considerations is, does the extension benefit future development? And does the lack of this extension by this applicant perhaps deter future development? And so the first consideration is
Okay.
there water access from other nearby areas? And then the second is, how important is it that that pipes connect so that there is better flow? In the past, on other projects, you've talked about it important that water lines not be creating dead ends, and that they create, I don't know what the right water.
No, you're
term
right.
is.
This would create a dead end too.
But I'm curious if one of those considerations is ranking stronger for you, or if this is simply upholding requirements as they're written.
No, as far as the requirements go, yes, the water usage is one aspect of it. Fire protection is another aspect of it. But if the commission is looking for some sort of compromise, I would say that it's more important to have that line down Ranking Road down to Shoal Creek Parkway, and then perhaps we look at a deferral agreement for that piece along Shoal Creek Parkway. Either a
And
deferral.
when you say that, is it because that there is not water access?
Because the rest of the 30, there is a gap then in the 30 over to the east over there. So from our perspective, it would be more important to have that immediately down Rhine King Road, and then either a deferral or some other type of agreement for that portion along Shoal Creek Parkway.
Okay, thanks.
And Chairman Enders, a deferral agreement doesn't get us anywhere because a deferral agreement requires that they put money into an account to secure that improvement in the future.
Okay, understand we're not gonna become water experts today, but also want to not, be irresponsible. Other questions for the applicant or city staff? Okay. And then can I have one last, I guess, confirmation from Genevieve that in and of itself, plating is not necessary, but for the need to extend water to the site and bring water into the site?
Yes, that's correct. If there are changes made to these corrections or conditions relating to plating, I guess Travis, that would be a question for you probably about how to proceed with that, because they still are extending the main from the north.
They're extending the main and they have, you know, a significantly large stream buffer on the property. So all of that would be included with that platting process as far as permits for those things.
Okay, got it. Thanks. Eager to hear what people think. I think based upon the unique geography of the site, you know, in that there is this stream buffer and the vegetation, that, you know, the responsibility feels a little bit different in terms of whether you need fire hydrants along Northeast Ranking or not. And, you know, future development immediately to the east of Northeast Ranking would, in theory, make more sense for them to extend, but.
We'll have to do public testimony for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open it up for public testimony.
If anyone would like to speak, if you would raise your hand online or approach the microphone on the podium. We do not have any hands raised online.
All right, closing public testimony. Applicant, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just to answer questions. I mean, our request is that we not be required to plat, that we do not have to do the city's infrastructure of the water main extensions as requested, and the street improvement, because we believe that all of those improvements are not related to what the impacts that we're generating.
I guess I have a question. What, like they mentioned, you can go to the appropriate channels to request a waiver. Like, why don't do
Well,
that?
we have made our opinion known all along through the whole city process. I've got applicant DRC letters to the staff saying this is not appropriate. They've never said, well, just put it on the plans. So. And I believe we would be fighting like we are today through this process.
I don't think we're
Discussing.
fighting.
Yeah, I would-
Discussing.
Yeah.
Yeah. discussing.
And you know, to me, like it's not against this project. It's just in general. I don't understand if we're gonna keep waiving things and making changes to, you know, like somebody needs to, you know, like this applies to everybody, right? Trying to do new developments, and the systems and that the city has is. I just feel like we've seen that a lot of those projects where obviously nobody wants to pay front for it, but
Well, we didn't waive it the
Right.
last time. I believe,
Yeah, we didn't waive it.
yeah.
right. No, I'm saying like we asked to be waived.
Yeah, did
We get asked. No,
Oh,
we didn't.
yeah, I
we
got
didn't.
you, yeah.
We get asked.
I mean, the only thing I see is Commissioner Ender said it's a bit of a unique site with that stream buffer and all that, but I still, my fear is always we set precedents, right? And then it becomes expected across the board.
Yeah, the tough thing looking at this, and again, I fully recognize we're not going to understand the way the water grid works with a handful of questions, but if we could see where water service is, it feels as though there's a very real situation in which you require the extension and the extension never gets used by future development, or any future development that would need it is actually abutting that water line and should have been responsible for building it at that time because it was benefiting them. So I mean, I'm fully in favor of the city requiring or having this in there. And I do think that this is the appropriate means by which an applicant says, hey, this is a weird one. This is why we shouldn't have to extend this as far as we're supposed to, because it's not going to benefit future development the way that it's intended to. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're putting extra development costs on someone that has really potentially zero benefit to anyone in the future, which is clearly not what we want.
Well, and that's what I mean, I guess my question, and you might have asked, I think we were asking, and I don't know that I got a clear answer, but extending this down to Shoal Creek, right? What is making that connection at Shoal Creek? Would it be to the east? Or, you know, I'm not sure. And then do they have water on the east of their property over off of Northeastern Ave? So like, I just don't know, are we dead ending it? Or like you said, does it need to be looped in, tied in for flow purposes? We're not
person.
we're not engineers, so I don't know. Travis, can you explain that? Like, we're essentially dead ending this at the at Shoal Creek. I mean, I guess there was a request to bring it down the frontage of Shoal Creek as well, but what is that going to tie into in the future?
Yes, with Hodge Park across the street, there's possibility of connecting to that, and then also anything that comes in on the east side over there would also connect into that line.
So when Hodge Park was developed, did they not provide their own water line extension?
A lot of that came from the south, and I think there was a plan for an extension when the school was supposed to go in over there.
But
I
if it
think
was
a
developed
portion
at
of
all, just
that-
like the rule of thumb, it sounds like it should have been extended, correct?
Say that again.
Like you're stating, per the requirements, it should have been extended when that was developed, right?
When Hodge Park was developed, well,
Correct.
when Hodge Park was developed, it's a park property that when you say develop, they add features over there. I think the only development would have been when the school went in.
And it didn't happen when the school went in?
I don't know how far it extended.
Okay.
So my inclination right now would be that I don't think we need to remove within the plat for condition number 4 or remove condition number 8 if we're of the mindset that bringing the water line to the site is already necessitating platting. And I think that I would feel comfortable in this instance removing condition number 21 and 25 in a unique scenario. You know, I'm kind of inclined to ask for some road improvements because it does feel as though the road needs it, and I imagine people will be accessing this site from all over. But again, understanding the project and the site, I'd be open to removing 21 and 25 if other commissioners are.
I agree with that.
That would be removing the improvements for like sidewalks and lights.
And
Yeah, because those are only on Northeast Ranking, which you know, I don't see a lot of, and that's why I was asking about the different improvements being asked for, because road widening makes a lot of sense to me. I don't think sidewalks are going to be used there at this time.
so I guess another question, if development comes on the east portion of this property, would this then come back and then readdress the street improvements on that side?
Yes.
If it's above.
Yes.
Commissioner Enders, if I could ask a question or
Please.
clarification to Sarah Baxter about removing the conditions for the improvements, but not for the plat. Is that what you were saying? Okay. And I guess just for clarification, is that something that should be written on the preliminary plat as a waiver to those improvements? Or is the commission able to just remove the condition to make those half-street improvements?
Yes, I mean, if you're, get the mic. Is your question whether the commission has authority to just recommend removal of those?
Take it away, or if a waiver should be requested on the preliminary plat, since it sounds like we're keeping the preliminary plat for partial water main extension. That's my second question, is removing 25 is related to the water main extension entirely. And so,
Well, my thought is that they have to extend to their property. That 750 feet has to extend to their property. Is that part of 25?
Travis, do you?
It's already shown on our plans.
But it's a standard condition for them to make sure whatever is shown on the plans is done. So I'm asking Travis if that's something that needs to be modified rather than
Yeah,
removed.
could we change the condition to say?
Oh, 25.
For 25,
Yeah,
for the water.
I think that's a good question
Okay.
for Travis. Yeah.
Right. These were about extending it down Ryan King and across Shoal Creek Parkway. So if that's going to be changed, then it would be to extend it down to a location as shown on the plan, if that's what you're desiring,
Just the northeast corner of the property
along ranking.
along ranking. So would that change, would we adjust condition number 25 to say that, or would it, or is that already existing without a condition?
No, it would be modified to say that.
I was hoping to potentially remove it altogether because it's bringing water to the site's already satisfied. You're saying that doesn't work for you?
Well, again, this spells it out a little bit more as far as, when it's required and that sort of thing. So, I mean,
It's a
if you
standard
want
condition that changes based on, here's how far you extend it. This is how big the pipe needs to be, and this is when you're going to do it by. It's just so we can keep track of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then what I would look for in that, and I can make the motion as well once we get there, but what I would look for in that condition would be removing any mention of extending water service along Northeast Ranking or Northeast Shoal Creek Parkway. I don't know what would be left of the condition after doing that, but that's what I would.
well, you're not removing the condition about extending water down Northeast Ranking or North Ranking, because that is what's shown.
But my proposal would be to say, extend water main to northeast corner of property along Rhine King, and leave it at that, and that would get it in writing very simply. Okay, great. Love it.
And can I just add to why we didn't just limit our development to the church site itself? The parcel is 43 acres. Staff would not allow us to come in with just a half of the parcel. That's a matter of course. So we had to show the whole parcel.
Unless you replatted it as two, unless you replatted it as two separate.
If we did a minor subdivision plat ahead of time, maybe, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to have a bunch of, and I know some of you are experts, but a bunch of lay people, interrupting a process of a bunch of professionals who do this every day. And I think that the reason that we do that as a city is to try to sometimes take a 30,000-foot view. And what I don't think most people as a city want to do is ask a church who's been in the community for decades to end up spending an extra $1 million for something, or 750,000 or whatever it's going to be, for something that might not be of use for anyone. And that's, the development pattern that I think these are all really good things to have. I hate, removing conditions that staff wants to have in there, because I do think that these are best practices. And at the same time, it feels like a situation where this is exactly the purpose of having the ability to remove these requirements. If there aren't any other thoughts, I can go ahead and make the motion. All right, I'm going to move to approve docket item number 2, removing condition number 21 and modifying condition number 25 so that there's no mention of extension of water line from on Northeast Ranking Road or Northeast Shoal Creek Parkway, with the intent that the condition reflect that the commission does not want the applicant to build any water line that is not serving their site solely.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 2 with modified conditions.
You got it first, no? Like,
What?
is that right? Is that the?
Yeah, I mean, it services what I was saying, but yes, essentially, they're in condition 25, they're still responsible to bring the water line down to the northeast corner there of the property, along, is it Reinhardt?
Rhine King.
Ryan
King.
King, sorry. Sorry, I don't
have a
know.
question. What happened to condition 4 that we were talking about earlier? Does that need to be in the motion?
I am not making that change because as I understood it from staff, they want this to, we're already disrupting what is standard, and I want to disrupt as little as possible. And so I still want to acknowledge that this is a plating process.
I'm just asking because I know we discussed it, so I was just making sure you.
Yeah. All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve docket item number 2 with modified conditions. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Docket item number 2 is approved. Thanks for the project and thanks everyone for your patience.
Thank you for your time.
All right, with that, that concludes all the scheduled docket items. Sarah, is there anything else to note?
No, nothing for today. Happy Thanksgiving.
Okay,
Wow, that's quick.
thank you all. We are adjourned.
Okay.
Job team.